got Joleon Lescott taking one.
Football was a big thing because I can get teased, but then we're going to go into the playground and I'm going to be the guy.
This episode is supported by Hughes.
Joleon, my friend, nice to see you.
Good to see you. Looking good. Tanned up as well.
Yeah, that's a bit of fake tan, just for the cameras, you know.
Yeah.
I've not been on holiday anyway.
Seen you in the States, did I? When you just in the States?
Just been to America, yeah. We're going global with high performance.
Why not?
Welcome to the show. We've spoken about getting you on this show for so long.
Yes.
So you better bring some good stuff.
My profile finally big enough to get me that. Yeah, we running out of guests.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
Yeah.
What is high performance to you?
I'm going to say performing at your maximum for a long duration of time and dedicating large aspects of your life to get the best out of yourself, whatever field you're in. And yeah, that's the way I would describe it.
And how much do you think that your mentality is the reason why you had such a brilliant playing career of hundreds of games? And how much do you think it was your physical abilities?
Definitely more mentality. I think your mentality keeps you going. Physically, I was, advanced from an early age and I could compete, but there was players with less physical or more and not being successful due to their mental ability and capabilities. And I see the mental side of the game as an attribute, a real attribute, like pace, but because you can't see it, it's not valued the same. So people talk about, say Mario, like exceptional talent, and people say, yeah, but if he was mentally a bit more focused, I was saying, yeah, I understand that, but you never say to someone, if he was faster, he'd be world class. Just never described the same way, is it? But the mentality of any profession, but especially football, is a real attribute.
That's a very interesting observation, actually, isn't it? That we talk about mentality like it should be better for everyone, but 100%. We don't do that with the physical attribute.
Like if you say to someone, like mentally be better, you expect it to be changed like that. But if you said to me, be faster, you wouldn't expect me to be faster tomorrow. You'd give me a period of time and there's going to be a maximum level of capacity I'm going to be able to get to, where when it's a mental side of it, we just expect it to be done now. I've told you not to be late again, so you never be late again. No, he doesn't have the capacity to organise himself to never be late again. He may not be late for 2 weeks, but in the third week, he may be late again, and it's just understanding that.
Was there a time in your career when you felt you'd reached your limit in terms of physically what you were capable of?
Probably 07, 08 season, I think. I was at Everton and I just changed my diet, went gluten-free, and probably that wasn't really as glamorous as it is now. There wasn't aisles in the supermarkets. There was little odd bits. And I was as strong as I'd felt I could be. I couldn't really put weight on, and I was as good as physically, I was as good as I'd felt more often than not. Like every player will tell you, you're never 100%, and I was aware of that, but I was at my peak physical condition. I was recovering faster, and so I'd probably say around that time, I felt physically as dominant as
And is that when you then decided to invest in the mentality?
No, I think the mentality was there before.
Okay.
Because up until I got injured at 21, I was playing on talent. So I was talented and physically I could do whatever, and tactically I was okay. So I was never, there was always going to be someone that's better than me, but not of all the things I valued as a footballer. There's only Louis Saha, that's why he was the best player I played against, because everything I thought I was good at, he dominated me at in a game. So I was like, oh, I'd never experienced that. Like if someone was fast, I was quick, I was stronger. Someone was stronger, I was more technical.
Yeah.
So there's always something but him. No.
And how old were you when you came up against Louis Saha?
I was 20. No, I wasn't. I was 18, 19. So he helped me become a better professional then. So the training methods changed, and then I got injured.
Yeah.
And then my diet changed, and that's when I become a better professional. But up until that, I was just playing on my talent.
I'm really interested to dig into this game then against Louis Saha. So you're 18. You've come through the ranks. You've made it into professional football. I would imagine things it's never easy, but relatively easy because of your natural ability and your talent and your hard work and application. What is it like then to suddenly have your arse handed to you in a game of football?
Oh, it's embarrassing. Yeah. So what had happened was, again, this was before you could actually analyse video-wise. It was like Sports Argus. It was like the pink paper and you just had to look. So he was playing for Fulham. They were top of the league, first 10 games, they'd won them all. I think they'd averaged 2 or 3 goals. He was the man. Everybody knew Louis Saha was the man. And this was like my first full season. So we played them at Molineux and I know this is going to be a tough game. So I'm prepared for this. We go out, it's 0-0 and I get man of the match. Fast forward 3 weeks, we're playing them in the cup. So I'm thinking, that wasn't that tough 3 weeks ago. So maybe it's going to be the same. But now he must be thinking, oh, that's the first person that stopped me from scoring. I need to show him. And he showed me. He showed me. He scored 2 goals. He scored a free kick and a pen. One with his right foot, one with his left foot. Him and Morte were up front. And then the ball come to him and like he flicked it with the outside of his right, ran left. And I was just like, oh, there was just so much going on. He was playing, obviously, one at his peak, but he upped his level. And I thought, yeah, I hadn't experienced someone that was better than me, everything I thought I was good at.
Because what interests me now then is that post period afterwards, because you can, it's that saying you really see someone's character in adversity.
Yeah.
How did you handle that?
And after, I was like so embarrassed because again, it never happened. You'd have bad games or like, even when I played against, say, the top Messi, Ronaldo, you know they can do something. So you kind of don't dwell on that. Like if they want to decide the game, they decide it. And like that was the first experience I'd had of someone like me not making a mistake, them just literally owning me. So I'd never had that in every area. And then the manager, Colin Lee, was like, keep your head up, like this game won't define you. And I was like, yeah, it won't. I'm just gonna, now I know there's another level. Now I know there is another level to go to. I need to see if I can get there.
So you were inspired by it rather than derailed by it?
Oh, yeah. I was like, okay, so now I need to be faster. I need to be stronger. I need to think about it differently and analyse it a bit quicker, because if there's someone like that in the Championship, everyone's like that in the Premier League. So, and then, yeah, it definitely motivated me.
You know, Huel has been a staple of my diet for some time, and I'm currently loving these Huel Daily A to Z vitamins. Tastes great, refreshing. Each can has 26 vitamins and minerals, offering 154 science-backed health benefits. Reduced tiredness and fatigue, normal cognitive function, healthy skin, hair and nails, and vitamin D for immunity. This is a vitamin drink that offers everything you could need it to. So what are you waiting for? Grab it right now in Tesco stores nationwide or at huel.com and let me know what you think.
But how did you avoid the trap of becoming a big fish in a small pond? You know, like so far you're cruising through, and I can imagine it could be easy to adopt a little bit of complacency or arrogance or stop being willing to listen.
No, I had good people around me that I allowed to challenge me.
Okay.
So that was never going to happen the way I was brought up with mum, dad, brother, and sister. And I was never going to get you carried away. So that wasn't a thing. But in regards to like my coach, TC, was like the biggest influence on me, Terry Connor, as a coach and football influence. He used to challenge me all the time, like to the point of where I couldn't stand him. And we're really close and like I have so much respect for him, but I used to think, I'm going to prove you wrong. That was my motivation. And funny, because fast forward to when I retired, he did a podcast for Wolves and he was talking about me and he was like, I knew from the first time I seen him, he was going to be a professional, or I'm going to push him because I know he wants to be a footballer, he wants to be a professional. And I was like, TC, man, if you would have told me that, I already knew you couldn't break me before that. Like I was determined to be a footballer, so we could have had a better relationship if I would have known they were the reasons you were challenging me all the time.
So what did you think he was?
I think he was on me. Like obviously, do you know him?
Yeah, well,
do you know of
Mick
him?
McCarthy's assistant, wasn't he? And then
there was a period of time when I thought he was racist.
Really?
Yeah, I thought, why is he just singling me out and there's everyone else and he's just solely me?
Even though he's black?
Yeah, and I'm thinking, why is he just picking on me? I'm thinking, why is that a thing? And like, I just used to I used to go home and complain, and I said, is he physically abusive? No. Well, just get on with it then.
What you were telling your parents?
Yeah, I would just be like, why is he just on me all the... He used to call me the chancer. Because I used to take a risk in a game, and he used to wind
But
me
that has
up.
negative connotations,
Yeah,
doesn't
he used
it?
to... Oh, he
almost
used
like
to,
you don't care.
Yeah,
Like,
and he used to wind me up, and he knew it wound me up. And then like there would be times when I would do sessions, and it would just be me. He'd just say, come on, we're going outside to do an afternoon session. I'd be like, why am I just the only one doing this? Why does no one else need this? But I would never say that to him.
Yeah.
But that's been my thought process. And it was obviously to develop me as an individual. And
But just take us into your childhood home then, because I love that little snippet you said there of the only question your mum and dad ask is he being abusive? No. Well, get on with it.
Yeah,
Like,
you just do
tell
what
us
you're
about-
told. Yeah, I think that was our generation though, isn't it? You wasn't allowed to answer back to adults.
Yeah, but I'm intrigued as to your own parents' story as to how they recognise that what you're learning is resilience rather than sort of making excuses.
I think, again, that generation are definitely geared towards that. Everything is built for resilience or towards resilience. But also my brother played, so they was aware that it's not an easy environment to be in football. People just think it's glamorous, but them first like 3 or 4 years, it's quite intimidating. And if you're not built for it, going from that into a first team dressing room, it's soul destroying. Like seen many a young man, adults crumble under that. So again, they were aware that that's kind of life. Like again, it's your boss tells you to do something, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And that was the way I was brought up.
can you tell us then what year are we talking about here then when you would have first gone into an adult dressing room, like 2000?
I was 17.
2003?
Yeah, so what's that? 10, another 4, yeah. No. I was 82, I'm born. So 92 and then there's 97, 96, 97.
So
yeah.
late 90s. So take us into a first team dressing room in the late 90s.
Oh yeah, that was different. that was a little bit different. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that wouldn't be getting done now. So I remember one of the players, Steve Sedgley, like he was the joker of the pack, and I was lucky enough because like most teams, when a young lad comes through, they all want to help and support you, and I had that, so I never felt necessarily intimidated to being in there as a young kid or threatened. It was just, I'm 17 and these are like old, you know what I mean? These are real adults. But yeah, Sedge was like, I remember one of the first times, so I used to come and just sit there and not speak or not do anything. And then he's come out the bathroom and he's gone, I've just done a massive poo. Like, I've gone, why would you tell someone? I'm thinking, why are you telling people that? He's going, come and have a look. I was going, nah, I'm all right. He's like, nah, come and have a look, or I'll bring it to you. I was like, And then, who was sitting there? One of the old players, I think it might have been Neil Emblem, he was sitting there. He went, no, you need to go in there. Because if he'll bring it to you, and he'll put it right in your lap. I was like, yeah. He's like, you go in there. So I just ran into the toilet and had to look at this man's poo.
What was that about then?
I don't know. I just banter that generation of player had that was different. Remember, he played with Gaza as well. So they was on another level.
Were they testing you as well to see whether...
Probably, yeah. Probably. But I think it was just a general thing. I don't think it was specific to me.
Sure.
I think
did you have like those initiations that you hear about? Like...
No, there were certain things that, again, probably because of the way and where you grow up, that don't happen. And they can read that.
What do you mean by that?
So there was like jokes, like so even in the youth team, so say like lads would joke about partners and mums and
right.
I never did that. Like I never did that, so it's not an option for you to do to me.
Right.
Like I can have a joke and it can be fun. Don't mess with my clothes. Don't comment about...
And you were setting those standards and those boundaries even at 17 years old?
But that was set from school. Them things that's for me, you say them things at school, we're fighting. People fought at school for them things, so I only knew that. I didn't know you can say that to me and be laughing about it and joking. And like, you said something about someone's family at school.
Yeah.
That was a fight.
But then, can I ask you about, because I wondered about this when you were a young boy coming in, you know, the obvious scar on your head.
Yeah.
And I thought, coming into an environment like that, that's an obvious target for people. Right, that's different. Let's take the piss out of that.
Yeah, no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen in football, to be fair.
Okay.
Fans-wise, yeah, but never from a player that I played with ever questioned it, ever said anything.
Okay.
I don't even know if everybody knew.
But they ask about it.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of close friends and players that I asked when I was young, but as you get older, I think it's documented then, so doesn't need to be said or don't need to detail it. But yeah, as a young one, but no, none of the first team players ever said anything or targeted me for that. That that could have broke me.
And you and I have worked together for the best part of 10 years. I still don't know what caused this car. Because we would never,
it's not a thing, if it's not a thing, but...
What was it?
So I got run over when I was 5. I was coming out of junior school and it was Red Nose Day. So come down and then go to cross the road and the lollipop lady stepped out, so I'm on her right, and she'd obviously put the pole out. The car wasn't stopping, so then she stepped back, but I've stepped out and then it hit me and that was it really. Pretty serious, to be fair, for my family, mum and dad, and they were told, like, you might not make this tomorrow. So, yeah, it was pretty intense. I was coma for a while and hospital for months. I think a good 6 months I was in hospital.
Really?
Yeah. I only found out recently, my mum, because obviously it's still upsetting to my mum. So even to now, the date it happened, she phoned me and make sure I'm in the house.
Oh.
Yeah, she still, and say, are you home? I say, yeah.
And what about the effect on you?
Yeah, so again, I don't know. I don't, like, obviously physically you can see, but what I do remember was there was a guy in the bed next to me, no scars, just but had a tube, it was out cold, and no scars. I was like, yeah, he got hit by a car. I was like, why is, I'm bandaged up and got balloons, reconstruction and all that stuff. And a wing mirror off a van hit him in the head as he was standing on the curb and he was brain damaged. So when I realised that was a possibility, I'll take the scars. I'll take them all day. Do
you remember anything about it?
About getting run over? No, not really. Again, it's more, my mum remembers, she was like literally opposite. I was literally crossing the road to get in a car. So she remembers that. But I remember after and growing up and scars.
Tell us about the growing up, because you're going into your adolescent years then with a very obvious scarring. How did you handle that?
Football was a big thing because I can get teased, but then we're going to go into the playground and I'm going to be the guy. Right. You know what I mean? I'm with one of the guys, so I could compete. And I had an older brother who could play as well. So it was never a thing where it was a constant thing. Yeah, if it was something new for someone to see, they may reference it. But then all of a sudden, my friendship group wouldn't allow that to be a thing. Like, I've never had to tell anyone. Like, I'm sure it's the same with you. Like, someone can say something to you, but if they say something to your mate, it feels different, don't it?
Yeah.
You get probably a bit more protective. And that was the case, and that's always been the case with my friends.
And did it develop a resilience that actually was really valuable as life progressed?
I think it's developed something different to the resilience, more of understanding how I felt when someone would reference it. So I would never want someone to put someone in that position and for them to feel the way I felt, even if it was for 20 seconds. So that's probably the bigger factor than the resilience.
What?
So like, I know I was aware that being teased is hurtful. So things you say to someone can really hurt them.
Yeah.
I know it's sticks and stones and all that stuff, and it's a bit of light-hearted fun, but it's a real thing. So I'm aware that being referenced to me was so hurtful, I would never want to cause that to someone, because again, I think I'd rather you fight me than reference that. Not obviously now I'm more mature, but growing up, that was the way I.
Well, there's a really interesting distinction. Like, we've had this chat with a few people, including Dr. Pippa Grange on this, around the conversation that often gets accepted in sport of it's banter. And we've made the distinction of banter relies on excluding somebody. I'm making you feel shit. Whereas humour is including you.
Okay.
Like, we all know what the joke is, and it's relatively benign. Do you feel that that experience then meant that you were a bit more detached from that banter environment?
No, because I could get involved. I would just believe that if... I was involved in banter, but it was in the circumstances that I would allow you to banter me. I would never overstep my boundaries to you because I don't want that to happen. So even though I may be able to dominate someone physically, and if he did reference family members,
So
I
it
could
doesn't
fight
become
them.
bullying.
Yeah, no, but I'm not going to do it to you, even though I probably could, and you couldn't do anything about it. But that's not. It's not that. It's like, okay, if I've said don't do it to me, then.
And what
I'll do
about
it
the
to you.
fan criticism? How much did that hurt?
Yeah, that was hard. That's why I probably am so close, not just for the titles, like City fans. Like, that's probably the affiliation with City fans is probably as strong as any club, because the song they sing for me, or sung for me, still sing now and again when I see them, but was in combat to Liverpool fans, because again, Everton, City, like, Liverpool fans were always personal towards it and used to reference it every time I
What would
played.
they say?
It was like Joleon Lescott got bit by a shark. So that was the reference. That was the song they would sing. But the first time they sung it when I was at City said that, they sung that. And it was like Joleon Lescott's top of the league. So they sung the same song, but we like used the words Joleon Lescott's top of the league because we were top of the league. And it just, like, that is it. They never sung it again. And
How did that feel?
yeah, that was like that. And I don't even know if a lot of City fans know that. That's why I admire them so much for creating that just off the back of what Liverpool fans were singing. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is. So when I hear it now, it's still, and even when I hear like fans say it to me and they just think it's because we were top of the league, I'm like, nah, it means more to me than being top of the league.
Does it make you a bit emotional? Thinking
Yeah,
about
sometimes, yeah. Again, but it's nice to know that you can have that with.
Yeah.
And I think, football fans get such a bad rap.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to mention
Yeah, good fans,
when they
yeah.
do something that really makes a difference to someone. And they,
Yeah,
and
I
they
think we
sort
do
of-
that with everyone, though, don't we? Like, we categorise everyone, footballers, fans.
As we've got to this point, should we talk about Manchester City?
Mm-hmm.
Such an important part of your life now, such an important part of your playing career. What was it? When did you first know that Manchester City were interested?
So I went there in the summer of 2006. So it was just before the summer. There was interest, but I was quite superstitious as a player. Not quite, very. So it was like, I don't want to talk about certain things till the season's over. So my agent made me aware, but I was like, I'm not interested in having them discussions just yet because, like, Everton, we were doing well and we had an FA Cup potentially. So I was like, I don't want to be distracted about potentially leaving if this could be my final game. So again, after then it was like, I was made aware that they were gonna come in and stuff like that. So I just had to wait really and be patient and very patient. And then, I was aware before I went back to pre-season, there was interest and they'd made an inquiry.
It wasn't done quick then?
It wasn't?
It wasn't done quickly?
No, he was like, I didn't go till the last week of the window. But I knew they'd contacted them in June and I just had to wait and go in. But I also knew that you can't not go in and not train. And like, if they're by me, they're going to expect me to be fit. So I needed to be fit as well. So it wasn't a case of like, I can down tools in any way. Yeah, it was like, I definitely wanted to go and made David Moyes aware that I wanted to go, but it wasn't like, I'm not coming in.
So how did you do that then?
I used to go in every day. I used to go and see him every morning and say, like, the first one was the hardest because I was like, this is an uncomfortable conversation. I didn't want my agent to be calling him saying this, that and the other. I was thinking, if I'm wanting this to happen, I've got to be a man and got to go in there and have this discussion. And that was like, intimidating. Like, so I went in there and just said, like, Gaffer, I'm aware there's interest, and if if there's an opportunity to go, I just want you to know I want to leave. And he was like, yeah, but they haven't contacted us, so okay. And he sat there in silence, and I was like, oh, that's the end of the conversation. So left, and then left, trained, spoke to my agent after. He's like, that's not true, but it's not entirely true, but okay. So I had to wait for it to develop a bit more. And then I was going in constantly and be like, no, I know this has happened. I know that's happened. So he's like, no, you're not going. I was just like, what? You've always said to us that if a player come in and said to you, he wants to leave, you'd let him go? I said, yeah, I know, but no. I was like, what? Like, I said, Gavin, what if Man United come for you? You're going to want to go? You're going to go? He's like, yeah, but no. I was like, my career isn't the same as a manager. Like, it's shorter. This is an opportunity for me. And he was like, nah, it's not happening. And then after that, I wasn't allowed to train with the first team. And that's one thing that was hurtful because it was deemed like I was a bad professional.
Right.
One thing I wasn't a bad professional. I might not have been the greatest player in every team that I played for, but I was definitely one of the most professional players. And to be made to go and train on my own and do that stuff, and yeah, that was hard.
And why was it so important for you to go and have the conversation yourself as opposed to letting your agent do it or intermediaries?
No, because I wanted it to be that. I wanted it to have that impact of, that was the way it was done. Like, my agent's going to deal with all the stuff, but the conversation that needs to happen. I think it's harder for anyone, not him, me, you, to lie to someone in their face. You can see, and everyone's braver when you're talking about someone to someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So as much as he may not want me to go, I'm sure it was a more calmer delivery and approach saying it to me than it would have been to my agent. You know what I mean? So again, I just wanted to have that, and I felt it was right. Like, I don't want to be saying to my agent, I want to leave, and then he comes to me and I'm not saying it to him. It's not really right, is it? So.
And what were your teammates in the dressing room like at that time?
No, they were fine. They were fine because what everyone or fans don't always realise, like, and my scenario is no different. Nothing happened any different from me leaving Wolves to going to Everton. It's exactly the same thing. It's just a bigger scale. Right. Most transfers are. So the players were aware I'm going to leave. And where we were with Everton wasn't any more important to what Wolves wanted to do in terms of promotion. So it was the same scenario, just a different scale. Obviously, it was deemed different because it was the Premier League and the value of the transfer was higher. But yeah, the players understood that, if he wants to go and compete because that's what they're trying to do, then yeah. But if I don't go, I wasn't not going to try. I was still going to try because, again, it's only going to be me it's going to affect.
And the day that you walked into the Manchester City dressing room, what did you find?
I knew a lot of them. We'd been in England squads and stuff, so I knew a high percentage of them. But yeah, it felt like I wasn't then working towards a move. Even though we weren't competing for the title just of yet, the calibre of player was a little bit different. No disrespect to the Everton squad at the time, but like we were signing some of the best players in their position. At Everton, we were a group developing that, and we were very competitive, and I think City finished above us by the time I was at Everton. But in regards to the players they were signing, like Kolo Touré was an invincible. Do you know what I mean? It was like Gareth Bale was a Villa captain, and Carlos Tevez. And we were signing like players from the teams that we were trying to emulate and trying to get the level we were trying to get to. So yeah, it just felt like, okay, now I can be here and we can genuinely compete.
And so people outside of that bubble, when we hear that these players are on another level, what's the biggest difference? Is it like a speed of thought, or is it just professionalism?
It's everything. And it's not always everything for every player, but every player has something that is different.
Okay.
So David Silva is not the fastest player ever to play the game, but his ability to receive the ball in an area that no one else can is not even explainable. Like, he can do stuff and obviously he must see the game at a speed that no one sees. And I had a belief. I had a different level of belief. I think that comes from playing at United or playing at Barcelona and winning stuff, Arsenal. Like you're an invincible. It's going to give you a level of confidence that other players may not have. So yeah, they had that, and said we all had a motivation of winning. Like it was great because at the time everyone was deemed we're only going there for money. Every player's going there for money.
Did you get that criticism?
Oh yeah, everyone did. That was the only reason. The only reason every player joined Man City at that time was due to money. That was the only thing we was joining for.
And what was the reason?
Well, that was the reasons outside of the group.
Yeah.
But we would, like, Carlos Tevez does not need any more money. Like, didn't need any more money at that time. He was coming there because he loved football and he wanted to compete. And that inspired us.
You need to hear this, okay? Your gut matters. It's a vital building block to health. Now, you might not know that 70% of your immune system is in your gut. I didn't know that. And 95% of serotonin, which is the feel-good chemical, is created in your gut. And if there's one thing we need more of, it's a feel-good chemical, right? That's why when it came to choosing a probiotic, I had to know it was proven and that I could fully trust it. And this is it. Biotic by Heights, specifically formulated to give you everything you need for your gut, your mind, and your immune system. I take it every day, and the difference for me is real. And you could trust me, fine, cool, or you could trust the tens of thousands of high performers and elite athletes that rely on Biotic every day. So join tens of thousands of high performers and try Heights with an exclusive 20% off your first month, only with this podcast. Go to heights.com/HP or enter the code HP20 at checkout. You'll love it.
But how was it sold to you? Like, so
What we're seeing now, like literally what we're seeing.
Okay.
I met the chairman, so now I'm allowed to speak to them. I went to the hotel, met the chairman, and he's saying to me what we're seeing now, and I was like, "Oh, that seems very ambitious."
Oh, so what did he say?
Like literally the size of the club, going to dominate domestically, like so convincing, like he'd seen the future. And I was like, and he's like, over the next 10 years, we're going to dominate. Like we're going to be the most successful team in this period. We're going to challenge. We're going to get the best players. We're going to compete. We're going to push on to Europe. And I was like, sounds unreal. That I'm not sure it's going to happen in that time frame. Like, but I definitely believe what you're saying. And literally, has gone to what he said. But he was so adamant it was happening. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that was impressive.
So Mark Hughes was the manager.
Yeah.
And how long did he manage you for?
He managed me. I think he left around Christmas time.
And you joined in the summer?
I joined in the summer, yeah. And then again, he'd left. And it was a strange one because I think we were second. We just beat Sunderland and we had a game in hand and 3 points behind. So we could have gone like top. And then he left. And then Mancini came. And that hit the squad hard because he took a lot of shit from outside, accumulating that squad. And he defended us all, Mark Hughes. So the players had a lot of respect for him. Right. So probably more than like Mancini and Pellegrini because he'd assembled us and he'd defended us and been in the front line. Whatever bullets were coming, he was shielding us away from them. So yeah, he had a lot of respect from the group as a player group. So that hit us hard.
But you must have been excited about Roberto Mancini. I mean,
No, I was more excited about like Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes had signed me. Mark Hughes had made me the guy he wanted to sign. Like he could have signed anyone, right, and he wanted to sign me. So like I owed him something, and I was injured at the time as well. I just got injured, and then Mancini come in. So, but again, I wasn't gonna not give him maximum effort, but I knew straight away that relationship wasn't going to be.
Oh, why?
It was comfortable. He didn't want me. He didn't want me to.
How did you know?
Because he tried to not play me a few times. But again, one thing I would give him a little bit of credit for in terms of that was if the other player didn't perform, then he would put me back in and then I knew I had to perform. But he made me feel I had to be better than everyone in order to play, where everyone could just, if they was at a certain level, they would stay in the team, but then I had to be above that level.
How did you get on with him? What did you make of his management?
We didn't really get on because, again, I think I felt it was personal. Some of the things was personal, like, so, trying to think, like, yeah, when he first covered, he'd said to someone, I can't select him because his calves are too small. My right calf, which is the side of my knee, which is always a little bit smaller than my left. But I was like, so he didn't select me for like 3 weeks. And I'm like, granted, that's not a thing. But even if it is, tell me. I can try to make it bigger. To the level that you need it to be. So going back to me going in to see David Moyes and telling him direct, so we know there's no miscommunication. Like, tell me. Don't tell someone else that may tell me 3 weeks after you've told them. And I've missed 3 games now because you've got this theory. Right. And I'm just like, it doesn't need to be that. Like, I am professional. Like, again, you may not want me to play in your team because I may not be good enough. I can take that, but just allow me to be professional. And I kind of wanted that back. But listen, there was things that not just for me, just the group. I just felt like the level of player he had overrid like his man management. Like he got away with a lot more because he had some top players. Top.
What do you mean?
So, like I said, in terms of his man management, it wasn't great. It wasn't ideal. Just like things that we did were based on his superstitions, which wasn't detrimental because you've got a Yaya Toure, you've got a Sergio Aguero in their prime, Vincent Kompany. They all win you the game. But when it doesn't go that well, that's when you can see it more visible. You know what I mean? So again, I think that was when he left, was kind of the back of that. It was like, now lads can see, like you don't have our best interests at heart. Like Nader Manua, he didn't get on with Nader either. And his reason for not wanting to select Nader was didn't think he was quick enough. And the doctor literally had to say to him, you need to pick another reason because he's the fastest we got. Like Nader was ran for the country in 110 metre hurdles, like he was lightning. So you've obviously just got that concept in your head that he's not quick enough and you're going to use that not to select him. But I'm saying you haven't had that discussion with anyone. That's just something you believe. And yeah,
Would you tell us a little bit around man management? Because we hear so many players talk about it's not necessarily the most tactically adept managers that they go on to respect. It's the ones that they feel understand them. Mm. What's been your experience of a good man manager?
Treating someone how they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated.
Right.
So again, understanding that you saying to someone, to have a day off individually, you've got something that you need to attend to that maybe you're going to get a different level of effort because they're going to have a different level of respect for you. But then challenging someone and them having that relationship for you to criticise, to know that you can come back. So it's just treating everyone. And you can't treat everyone as individuals all the time, but it's just understanding the individual. That's what I would describe as my management. It doesn't have to be, oh, he has to eat this, he has to eat that, and everyone's got 20 different meals. It's just more of, well, these are the options rather than this is what we're doing.
Okay.
And then you pick an option that suits you in regards to how, there's obviously certain things that we all have to do. Yeah, we all have to be on time and all that stuff. But again, if after a day, if after a game, I want to come in the morning after the school run, but someone else needs to sleep, it's understanding that, yeah, there's 2 times that you can recover here. There's one in the morning and one in the afternoon. Make sure you're at one. It's only going to be one or the other. And it's understanding that where I don't know if it's probably different now. I think there's more flexibility with coaches, but I don't think there was as much flexibility.
And who was the best man manager that you experienced? Glenn
Hoddle. Glenn Hoddle was the best manager.
Every footballer that played under Glenn Hoddle said Glenn Hoddle.
Glenn Hoddle it's not even close. And not just with man management, just of his coaching, just the way he spoke about the game and the way I understood it, what he was saying, it was like so clear. No one had up until that point, I was 21, but no one after that had spoke about the game. And for me to understand it in the way he spoke about it, I'd just like, ooh, that's like details of, I remember when I was watching him coach the winger and he was telling him how to dribble at the defender's back leg. And when he sees this movement, then you move the ball that way, which will nullify the way he can run. I was like, oh, so if you're telling him that, that must mean I must have to defend it a different way. So then it just made me think about defending more. So he just had details that would help positions, but I would just use them to, okay, well, if he's told him to do that, I must have to do the opposite kind of thing as a defender.
So interesting. But winning the league?
Again, it's different because it's not something you grow up thinking you're going to do. I didn't grow up thinking I'm going to win the Premier League. You just, hopefully you become a footballer. Like I always say, growing up, I thought I could, the FA Cup, because that was visible to everyone. Everyone competed in it, everyone watched that, but the Premier League wasn't an ambition until you get into the Premier League. And even when I got there, I didn't think I was going to win it. And then you go to City and then it's like, oh, now we need to think about winning it kind of thing. So it wasn't until 2 or 3 seasons before actually achieving it that it was a real goal.
Right.
Because it's not a realistic goal.
Was there a moment in the season where you believed it would happen? Because obviously it happened so late.
Oh yeah, way before that. I think before, not that we believed we were going to win, believed that we could win.
When was that then?
The season before, when we won the FA Cup and we beat United in the semi-finals. I think that was a big thing for us as a group, as a club. Because they hadn't lost, I think they'd won like 13 out of 14 semi-finals on the Sir Alex, and then we beat them and then we went on, and that just gave us a platform to think, now we can compete. And then we come back, start of the season, and what was good was we'd played all pre-season, we beat everyone, and we played some top teams like Inter Milan and like Eto, and I think it was when they was around the time they won the treble, and we beat them comfortable, and we were thinking, oh, we're all right. And then we play United in Charity Shield, and they beat us 3-2. That was a blessing in disguise. Best thing that ever happened to us, because then it just kind of refocused us, and we went on a great run at the start of the season. I think we were unbeaten in like 12 or 13 games. And that just gave us a belief that, not that we couldn't lose, but because at no point did we think we was going to go through the season without losing, but we knew we were tough, and we knew we had a different level of, whether it was fear or respect from our position, because there wasn't one element of our team or our game, and again, this is why I'll probably give Mancini credit, but there wasn't one element of our game that we were reliant on. We could defend if we needed to as a team or as a back four, or we could attack as a team and could just let the forwards attack. So everyone played a role, and it wasn't a case of, they're only good at that. If you get them into this, if you like, say, if you went long, go long. It's like, we're all 6 foot, so then let's go long, and then we'll knock it down to Gareth Barry and Yaya Toure, who can then do whatever they do. So again, we were very aware of where we were at.
When we were lucky enough to speak to Colo, we asked about this idea of belief, and he said for him the mentality is you run it from minute 1, game 1. So you're not waiting towards the end of the season to turn up for the big performances. That's what he felt championship mentality was, that you start as you mean to go on. Was there ever a moment like that during that season when you thought this was a level above what you'd experienced previously?
I think it was just the start of the season. I think it was just a belief going into the season. I would say the game, we played at Spurs, 2 games. At Spurs, we beat them 5-0. I think Eddie scored 4. And I think that was a big shock for everyone, really, because no one was really doing that. Spurs weren't average, never been average, and we went there and give them a good going over kind of thing. So that was a big thing. And then one game at Blackburn, we won 2-0, but I don't ever remember a game before or after being so comfortable. It just felt like they'd accepted they were losing 2-0. Please don't make this any worse, kind of thing. And that must have been what, say, United must feel like, and over the years of their dominance and stuff like that, where that was a real kind of, oh yeah, we could literally, some of our players could have literally put their kit back in the skip and wore it next week. Do you know what I mean? It was like that easy for some of them. And again, there were probably the 2 games in that season where I thought that's different.
But then as it got towards the end, you almost started to sabotage it.
Yeah.
What do you think was happening there?
Nothing. I just think it was Man United that was able to lift their level. I don't think we went on a ridiculously poor run. I might be wrong, but
No, you didn't.
I think they just upped their level, and you had to recognise that they were used to doing that. That was like when they dial it up.
You never felt the pressure, the expectation, the fear, the enormity?
Nah, because we hadn't achieved it yet. So it probably still wasn't as magnitude as it comes after that. Like the second time, it's kind of...
You were naive?
Yeah, like innocently naive, and it's not a negative. It's probably like some players need that, and some players need that level of pressure. Like, no, I'm gonna be the guy and to perform their best, and whatever that is, whatever you need to motivate yourself, then use it.
What did you need?
My teammates. I don't know. I kind of was level. I never got too high or too low.
I'm sure I remember you telling me once that you would always get this moment of flow in the build-up to a game. Can you talk us through
that feeling. It come at various times. It's like a level of excitement or nerves. I don't know what it was. And we spoke about it. We spoke about bottling it up and selling it. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a feeling I used to get, and it would either come throughout the week. It could come on a Tuesday, and I could be excited from that moment to the game on a Saturday. Or it could literally come as a walkout or just before the ref was going to, but I knew it was coming. Every game, there was something that used to come, a little butterflies or whatever it was, that level of excitement that was like, oh.
But how did it manifest itself?
I don't know, because it could vary through the stature of the game, how I've prepared, whatever that may have been. I just used to know. Earlier in my career, it used to come earlier in the week. So I think it was just like excitement. That was just a pure excitement. But then obviously, as you go on, and it's like, now there's pressure, now there's a bigger outcome, and it's like, I enjoy that part of it. So again, that may come later on in the week. But yeah, that feeling.
And what did it do for you?
It's made me smile. Literally, I would just smile straight away because I knew that's what I've been waiting for. That's the feeling. That took me back to being a kid again of like, oh, you're playing football? Because all I wanted to do as a kid was play football on a Saturday. That was the only motivation was...
And did it mean that you knew then that you'd be okay in the game, you'd perform?
No, because that wasn't it. I just knew I was up for the game. Again, the outcome of the game, I wasn't always going to be in control of, but I just knew that was a feeling I needed to have every week to want to play. And again, it never went, but as you get to the latter stages, I'm worried. I think if that doesn't come, what does that mean? Does that mean I don't want to play anymore? Does that mean I can't compete? So luckily it never happened.
Do you ever get it now?
A little bit then when we spoke about it, but not nowhere near the same. It can't be the same.
Tell us about the day you won the league.
Yeah, it was just a calm build-up. Prep was the same. Hotel was the same. Got to the game. Obviously, there was probably a bit more tension at the stadium. I think it was fuller earlier. But yeah, I don't think anyone was like... I don't remember fans getting carried away celebrating before it happened because it was QPR. I get the fact there was like expectation of us doing it, but yeah, that was it. And then...
But I always think, like, when you're describing it, I always like the image of Mancini looking pig sick, like the anxiety.
Have you not seen what he's actually saying? Like,
no.
You can lip read what he's like.
Go on.
Swearing in Italian. At us all. He's like this, and he's swearing at us all, and he's going mad.
Could you hear him?
No, obviously. No, but like when you see, he's like, if you know Italian, it's not a pleasant word to be saying to...
And he's basically, in that moment, going, you've let us down, you've let us down, you've let us down.
Literally, all that.
So he thought it was gone then. Mancini thought you hadn't won the league.
Yeah, well, everyone did. Obviously, Sergio knew different, but everyone would think that.
What were you thinking?
Oh, I was devastated.
Even during the game?
Yeah, because obviously I contributed to their goal, which wasn't a problem. Like, honestly, I'd made mistakes before. wasn't a thing.
Remind us what happened.
They like knocked it forward. I mistimed the header, and then it went over to Cisse, who scored. So it was 1-1. But it honestly didn't faze me because we only got to score one goal. We're going to score one goal. It's fine. And then they went 2-1 up. That was the bit. I was like, oh no, that was devastating. I was lost. Yeah, I was concentrating obviously, but I was thinking I don't want to leave the house. I want to pick up the kids from school. It was the year of the Euros. I was like, I don't want to go. Like all in the moments of the game. And funny, having spoken to players after that, other players were thinking similar things. So it wasn't like me just contributing to their goal. But yeah, then when we scored the equaliser, Edin, I honestly didn't know it was that late. I didn't know that was like injury time as well. I thought that was like 85, 86. I thought there's time. And then Sergio does what he did.
But how do you dig? I'm really interested in how you dig yourself out of that mental hole, because that sounds a pretty bleak place.
That was, yeah, be. After the second goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in there. I didn't dig myself out. Sergio came with a massive bucket and spade and dug me all the way out. So I would have probably been in there now in regards to that. But it, like, you just get on with it. Like, what was it not gonna?
And were you talking to each other on the pitch? Were you sort of saying to your teammates, I can't believe
No. It wasn't like that, but I was talking to myself in my head. But again, I think everyone was. Again, I wasn't sole on this. I wasn't the one that was doing this. I think everyone had realised what was about to happen if we didn't win.
And the feeling when the ball nestles in the back of the net.
That I don't know, because I don't remember seeing that. I remember hearing the noise.
Well, you were obviously watching.
Yeah, but I still can't, I can picture it from a replay. I can't picture that from
where you were?
No. I know where I was standing.
Where were you standing?
Just left-hand side of the centre circle, not far from the dugout. That was the position I was playing, but the noise, I will never forget the noise. I don't even know how you get to that noise or what that noise is. I definitely won't forget that. But I don't remember the goal. I remember the build-up.
And what was the emotion that you felt? Relief or happiness?
No, happiness, yeah. I didn't feel relief. Just happiness, more so, because I knew what it meant to so many people, fans, players, the staff. And that's why I ran over, turned around, and it was like the staff, like the physios that had been there for years, that had gone through some dark times as a club and work longer hours than the players, don't get the recognition that players get.
And you made a beeline to that.
And it was just them, I turned around, I see a few of them, and it was just like, it means a lot to a lot of people, this.
And what was said afterwards in the dressing room?
Nothing really. I don't remember that. I remember there's a period of time where everyone went to their own section of the dressing room, but I don't remember one thing being said that stood out. I just remember the celebrations. I don't think anyone was going to be ready to sit down and listen to anyone speak. Nah, there was champagne, and it might be different now if you're doing 4 in a row. You might be a bit more composed, but the first one was like champagne everywhere and like music and dancing. And
we sit here now having this conversation with Man City, having just now won 4 Premier Leagues on the bounce. Do you still reflect on that first win in 2012 as the win that started this legacy? Yeah,
I would say so. Not being like in an arrogant way, but there's always a foundation for every level of...
First is the hardest.
Yeah, but 4 in a row is pretty hard. 4 in a row is pretty hard as well. It's just different. I don't think you can compare them because it's different times. Like, there's going to be fans now and then. Like, I know fans that had never seen Man City win a trophy. That first title, it will never be topped. And rightly so for them. But then there's going to be fans that are witnessing 4 in a row. That will never be topped. So you can't debate what's more special. But in terms of the foundation, it had to be there's always a foundation, and luckily enough for me and that group of players, we were that period of time.
And then eventually Mancini leaves, Pellegrini comes in.
Yeah.
How was that?
Difficult. At first it was fine, got on, and then as the season went on, it kind of just got more difficult. It was my last season as well, so I kind of felt it was going to the point of where, not that I thought I was getting a new contract, but they were limiting my options to get the best option I could have got after that. Like, my playing time was being reduced. Not that I thought it should. Again, physically, because he was a new manager, I'd spent a lot of time being ready for him to come.
What had he said to you then when he first arrived?
No, he was going to give me an opportunity. He was going to give me an opportunity, and then I kind of felt fair. That's okay. I don't want it to be guaranteed, but just be fair. And then we go and sign Dimichelis, and I'm like, okay, now I see what it is. You don't want me to feature, so it's fine. And then he was making. I would go and see him, and I would like say, is there anything I can do or not do to play more or to be considered more? He was like, this. He was questioning my pace and stuff, and I was just like, but you're playing, no disrespect, you're playing Dimichelis and Xavi Garcia. I think I'm faster than them. If you're telling me you're playing Vinny and Gael Clichy, Micah Richards, 100%, yeah. And that's the reason you're playing them, because, but the players you're playing aren't faster than me, so that can't be the reason. So again, whether you like to be challenged or not, that kind of had an impact. And then, to be fair, like later on in the season, like that was in, what is February, March time, is it?
Yeah.
He did come and say to me, I wish I'd played you more and I should have, and this, that. And I said, this means nothing now though. It honestly means nothing, because the season's over. It was like about 3-4 weeks before. And then the last game of the season was my last home game. We played West Ham. And he'd always, I don't know if it was superstition, but he'd always make this sub, which then led to Dimichelis going into midfield, which meant I might go on at the back. And he did it again, last game, my last game at home. And he put someone else on that I was just like, I think it was Alvaro Negredo. He was leaving. So he was like, let him get us farewell. I was like, I don't want to play, but it would have been nice to get that moment.
Yeah.
Considered you've said to me 2 weeks ago, you should have played me more. I was just like, I don't deal with the like, what's the word?
Mixed messaging?
Yeah,
or the...
yeah. It seemed fake to me. Don't say it to me then. Don't do it. That's okay, but don't say to me that you wish you did it.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that.
I always find it interesting, like when I've gone into occasionally dressing rooms after a manager's been sacked, and you speak to players and go, the last guy was like, seemed great, what was it? And paraphrasing it, I always come up with two answers that you hear from players tell you. It's either lack of transparency, they weren't clear what they wanted from me, or lack of consistency. They were clear, they just didn't apply those principles consistently. I'm interested in, what do you think of the consequences? Like you're describing Pellegrini there, he's either not been transparent or he's not been consistent in
it was more consistent and level. Like, I'm not asking you to treat me any different, but don't treat me different. Like, don't give me a rule or give someone else a logical explanation or a reason that then doesn't apply to me, or does apply to me and doesn't apply to them. Like, I can't, this doesn't...
You hated the uncertainty?
And as I said, it didn't feel genuine.
How do you find out that there is no new contract from Man City?
How did I find this out? I think it was from the chairman, actually. From the chairman. Come and said it wasn't going to be renewed.
This is the same guy that seduced you.
Yeah. But again, it was fine. It was fine. Like, I felt privileged that he was making the time. And I don't know if you've ever met Khaldoon, but he's so impressive. Like, no matter who's in the room, whoever he's speaking to, that's the person. Like, that's the person you know he's there present with you, regardless of who that person is. So, yeah, he made the time, and obviously ridiculously busy to come to the training ground and just say to me, this isn't going to happen, and thank you for your service. And yeah.
And what does he do to make you feel so special? Like,
I don't know. I don't know what skill that is, but literally, if he's speaking to you, there's no one else in the room. It's just you and him for that moment. And it might only be for 20 seconds because he's obviously operating at a different level of high performance. But he's so present, it's crazy. And that's not me. That's everyone that he meets and stands in front of has that same opinion.
And tell me how you feel about the criticism that Man City still get to this day. When they when they won that 4th title in a row, the first thing that was trending on social media is Lance Armstrong. You know, people making the link there between Lance having won a lot because he doped and Man City winning a lot because of these 115 charges. We've had points deductions for Forest and Everton, and people still questioning why is there no outcome to Man City. You know, you love the club, you've spent so long at the club, you know, behind the scenes as well as a player. What do you say to people when they criticise City?
Listen, it's hard because, again, nothing's been confirmed, so I don't even know what these charges are, what they allegedly are, kind of thing, so I'm not educated enough to know, but I think it's because of the success that they are. I don't think it would be as documented as much if they wasn't as successful. Because there's other teams that have spent more money and not been as successful. So even if allegedly what's happened has happened, like, it's still not guaranteed that you're gonna have success. Like, teams have spent more money and not had success. So there has to be a level of respect for what these players have achieved.
And that's the problem, isn't it? And this isn't me defending or criticising Man City, but when people talk about the charges or they say there's an asterisk next to it, it removes everything that's been done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? All of the hours of hard work. And of course you can go, well, it's a financial thing, but you still can't remove the great stuff that's been done.
Yeah, no, yeah. Again, because it's not guaranteed. Even if, like you said, you do make the allegations, whatever, confirm them or stick, whatever, it still doesn't guarantee that you're gonna win 4 in a row. Like, it doesn't mean that is correlation. You do that and you get this. No, it's still a lot more that comes in between. And like I said, these group of players deserve this moment in time.
I wonder how Pep feels about it, because he has worked so hard to turn that team into what it is.
Yeah.
Regardless of the money that's been spent.
Yeah, it must be difficult for him to but listen, I don't think anyone's gonna tarnish Pep's reputation. I think when he's gone, he's going to be missed. The Premier League's going to miss Pep, and I think it's going to be considered the greatest era.
You've seen him at close quarters, right? What do you think of him?
Superly impressive. I just think, like...
What is it you've seen then? Because you've seen lots of managers, you've played under lots of managers, you've won trophies, competed at the highest level. Do you remember the first thing you saw Pep doing where you thought...
Honestly, the first thing I seen, I didn't think it was going to be work. So when I seen the setup of the training and the way they play, I'm thinking, it's like he's so demanding on the players in terms of how the passing drills. It's like, no, this is a game. So he can obviously create an environment where whatever we do is game mode, which is probably hard. I don't think there's other managers that have that ability to recreate. Every rep is so important on the training ground. And I remember watching it thinking, the way what you're asking him to do necessarily isn't that difficult. I'm not sure it's going to work. Thinking, not sure that works. And as easy as it may look on the training ground, and then fast forward 12 months. And even in his first season when it wasn't as successful, but you could still see bits. So he was like, they're the bits that he's trying to get to. Now he just needs to make a consistency of it all. And
how does he create that intensity?
Yeah, if I knew, I would be the second best coach in the world. And I think if everyone else knew, they would be top. But I also believe he must have a personality trait that allows him to get that best out of players, because if it was something you could learn, we'd all want to learn it.
Let's talk about some of his big decisions as well. There was that period where he got loads of criticism for not playing Phil Foden. And everyone was saying, Phil has to leave because he's not getting development. Now look what we have.
Yeah.
How is he seeing so far in advance that he knows the right thing at that moment is what he was doing for Phil?
Experience. I'm not saying Phil is Messi, but he's had players of that calibre that he's seen, this is how you're going to perform at that level. Is not going to learn something that is not going to be as relevant. Like Phil Foden and Rico Lewis, to a certain extent, have learnt a way and the reps in the academy that probably only benefit them a lot more at Man City. So going to learn something at another club I don't need you to do that 2 or 3 times a game. I need you to do this 9 times a game.
And how does he get these young players out to be patient and accept that it's a process rather than just the outcome of getting in the spotlight early?
I think that's a combination of him, the players there as well, and the club, the way they manage that. You regardless of who you are, you can't believe you're going to come from the academy straight into the first team and play every week, because they're signing top 2 or 3 best players in their position, in every position. So for you to think, 1 as a club and 2 as a player, are you going to come from there and be in the top 3 in the world? No, there's going to be a process, a period of time that you're going to have to develop certain things and enhance, because it's all right being able to do it, but now you're doing it against and with the very best. And certain aspects, it might be easier for them in the first team because you're playing with the best players.
Right.
Like, greatest respect to players Rico Lewis played with in academy, but he wasn't Kevin De Bruyne. He wasn't able to look up and see Kevin De Bruyne, or Haaland. So is that easier or harder? Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that you think he can do. If he can do it there with that player, then Kevin De Bruyne's going to make himself available. So you might be able to do it there as well.
So if we pick one player then that looked exceptional in the City system and has gone on to shine elsewhere, Cole Palmer. What was your experience of him?
Oh, I love him. What a guy. It's funny. It's someone that just loves football, so lax, and when you see him do his interviews, and it's genuinely him. Genuinely just loves the game, and not surprising me in terms of his talent, what he's doing, what he's achieving. Like, yeah, it's special talent.
And how did he come to leave City? Did he want to leave? Or
I think it was a combination of both. I think he wanted to leave. They was willing to sell. I don't think it was anyone's one decision. I think it was like, yeah, if Cole Palmer stays, my belief, if Cole Palmer stays at Man City, he doesn't go to the Euros. Now he's going to the Euros, so it wasn't a bad decision by him.
And would Pep look at that and think, I shouldn't have let him go, look how good he is?
No, Pep knew how good he is. I don't think that was a thing. I just think it was a case of, well, you're not going to feature as much as you want for me. And he was like, well, okay, then I'll go and feature somewhere else. And it worked. Like, if City win the double and not the treble, it isn't because Cole Palmer wasn't there. You know what I mean? They lost on pens to Real Madrid. That's okay for the reason for you not to win the treble, not because you sold Cole Palmer. And I think the system that Man City and Pep has created, in great respect, I don't think they're going to miss any one player. I don't think any one player is going to be like, oh, you should have kept him. I just think you can...
Surely when Kevin De Bruyne goes, they're going to have to try and do something.
Yeah, but I don't think... but you've had him. I mean, if you sell someone, like, you're not selling Kevin De Bruyne in his prime, so you're going to miss him. But also, I think there's an opportunity, what we've seen this season, for Phil to step in there. And the key for me is Phil is equally as effective as Kevin, but just in different ways. Like, so you can't... When Kevin's not playing, don't expect someone to do what Kevin does. Have the impact he has, 100%. I want Phil to have the impact Kevin has, but not in the same way. I don't want him to pick up the ball and bend one and make a ridiculous pass. Phil Foden picks up the ball and goes past 3 players and slides a pass. The outcome's still the same, but the way he got there was totally different. And that's the way it's going to have to evolve. Everyone's going to have to be equally as efficient, equally as impactful, but in their own way.
Can I just ask one last question about Cole Palmer? How much further has he still got to go? Like, how good can he be?
It could be anything, but that's the thing I would say about a lot of players in terms of, like, when people say, oh, Phil, if he only stays where he's at now for the next 10 years, he's going to be one of the greatest players. He doesn't have to do any more. Maintain the level. Same as Phil Foden. Don't come next season and think Cole Palmer's going to get 25 goals or he has to get 25 goals to be progressing. No, progressing might mean he's reached his peak early. Now stay there. That's his high performance in terms of he doesn't have to go, oh, it's another goal. No, this might be it. Can you stay there?
Yeah.
And that's the difference between the world-class players. They just stayed there for longer.
Can I ask you a question about him, though? Because I was told the story by a mutual friend of ours that Pep recounted about Cole Palmer, where he said when he realised he had something about him, and it wasn't about the talent, it was about the mentality.
Yeah, he said he knew he had something special because he doesn't pass to Kevin when he asks for it.
That's it, yeah. Go on, explain that.
So he says he knew he got personality because in training, if young lads come up and then Kevin shouts for the ball, they would try, even if it's not on, they will try and pass to him. He said Cole doesn't do that. If something's better for Cole or the team, that's what's happening, not that Kevin needs the ball.
And what would that tell Pep Guardiola?
That he's got a personality. That he's got a personality and also a level of football IQ to recognise that might not be the right pass. Yeah, I've heard that as well, yeah.
So interesting.
But that goes back to the mentality piece that you said that you recognised was important for you when Louis Saha bested you at that time. So if there was any young people watching this interview, what can they do to develop a mentality? It doesn't, not just in football, but just a mentality that allows them to reach their best and then stay there. Because that's exactly what you did.
I think everybody knows if they're cheating themselves. I think everybody knows that. So deep down, whatever it is, whatever field you're in, you'll know if you're doing the right thing. It may appear to be right to everyone else, but deep down when the lights go off, I could have done more. I should be doing more. I shouldn't be doing this. And then that's when you have that ownership and accountability. I think I heard that word relatively young and it resonated with me. Accountability. Everything's my fault. I make everything my fault, and then some things that aren't, I can work backwards from that. But when it happens, it's my fault. And then you can be mature about the process, say, that isn't really my fault, but initially, I'm responsible.
Lovely. Joleon, quick fire questions.
Yeah.
The 3 non-negotiable behaviours that you and the people around you should buy into.
Not valuing their time, like lateness. I know I've done it. I don't really like swearing. Don't think there's a need to swear. And blame culture. Don't blame anyone.
What's the single best piece of advice you've ever received and why?
Do one more. So, again, TC used to say to me, you know, when you're doing your reps and you're doing your sets and you lose count, do one more.
Very good. What's your biggest strength and what's your greatest weakness?
Probably my kids, for both. And I think I go as far to explain, like, I believe people's traits are the same and it's the circumstances that determine whether they are strengths or weaknesses.
Lovely.
What advice would you give to a teenage Joleon just starting out?
Do more. You can do more. Don't think that you've done enough. Just whatever it is, learn more about yourself, learn more about the profession.
Finally, your one golden rule for living a high-performance life.
I don't know.
What do you tell your kids?
Ask them, are they happy? I'd rather ask them than tell them.
That's a nice one. Yeah. Why is "Are you happy" a good sort of golden rule?
Why? Because I think they will know the feeling of, I want them to be happy rather than do what they think I want them to do. So like my oldest has stepped away from playing. I never want him to think, I don't want you to play if you don't want to play. But then don't complain to me if you do want to play and you're not doing the right things. So if you're happy, then it's fine.
Mate, thank you so much.